Hey guys, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel. I am here in the River Park Dog Park in Calgary, showing my support with my big, beautiful blue Alberta flag, showing my support for Alberta independence. And behind me you can see the iconic city line of Calgary. And I'm gonna walk around today and try to talk to people about this important subject. Obviously, I strongly support Alberta independence, and I'm gonna try to focus the conversation towards one issue. So we'll see how successful it is, but I wanna talk about lower taxes, because that's what really sells me personally on this idea of independence. The Alberta Prosperity Project projects that if we stop paying all the wasteful things to Canada, then we could lower our taxes by more than 50%. So I think that that's something that every Albertan should seriously consider. You know, if we end equalization, we end all the wasteful spending, just like what would you do if your tax bill went down, say, 50%? And how beneficial would that be to the economy? You know, so many people would want to come here. So anyway, I'm here at the dog park, and let's see what happens here. And by the way, I am with Ricky, but he ran off with my friend who didn't want to be in the video for understandable reasons. So I guess I'll open up with that question. What would you do if your tax bill went down, say, 50%? You know, it's that time of year again when we're all supposed to do our taxes and faithfully pay the government. And it just hurts so much when there's so much wasteful spending. Oh, there's something going on up here with the dogs, so. Hey there, I'm making a video about Alberta independence. Can I ask you guys a few questions? Okay. Do you guys support Alberta independence?
Nope.
No, why not?
Aren't I lucky because I'm Canadian?
Okay, can you give me a better answer? That's it? What would you do if your tax bill went down? It's really a non-answer to say because I'm Canadian. It actually just shows that you haven't thought about it. Like, you're not stuck in this limited, bubble for the rest of your life. Like, we're not serfs. We do have freedom, and we can choose our destiny. And actually, you know, that's something that is important to understand about this whole process is the democratic process. You know, if people want to leave, then they can leave. That's like a foundational principle of Canada, actually, is that we respect democracy. We respect the democratic choice of people. Hey there, I'm making a video about Alberta independence. Can I ask you a few questions? Oh, okay. How's it going today? Good, I'm making a video about Alberta independence. Can I ask you your opinion on it? Hey, I respect that. Have a great day. So that's one of the objections that I hear commonly is you can't leave Canada because then you'd be a traitor. Well, but here's the thing: the way democracy works is it's not the tyranny of the majority. You know, we do respect the rights of of people to be autonomous in various regions, and I'm not saying this very well, guys. But if this was some sort of like violent movement, then I guess you could accuse us of something like that. But this is following the peaceful democratic process. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. You know, it's hard getting the words out sometimes. So now everybody's walking away from me. I think I scared them off. Should I go back towards the bridge? I want to tell you guys about something my sister said to me. She lives in Ontario. And you know, I love her very much. But my sister said that when you pay more taxes, that's a good thing because it means you've made more money. And then she asked me like a follow-up question, like altruistically, like wouldn't you genuinely want the best for other people in Canada? And, you know, sure, fair enough, right? Except that I feel like the rest of Canada doesn't want what's generally best for us. So it's kind of hard to be altruistic like that, you know, year over year over year when we're told that you know, everything we do in this province is not wanted anymore. And then especially when Quebec tried to separate, it was get down on the knees and kiss the feet of the separatists, please stay. And when Alberta tries to leave, we just get called a bunch of rednecks and hicks and insults. Hey puppy. I think it's a little bit weird seeing a guy with a flag. Hey puppy. He doesn't like the flag.
It's like strollers, flags, dogs with toes.
I'm making a video about Alberta independence. Can I ask what your opinion is?
Well, I don't know.
Obviously I support it. I'm not gonna, you know, be
Well, here's
pretentious.
the question that I got.
Okay.
That nobody can answer me. So, I built a pretty good nest egg, right? Am I on TV right now?
Oh, so this is a camera and I'm recording it. Are you okay with that?
Well, so what happens to my investments that I've made?
Okay.
My whole life savings.
Right.
When Alberta separates and the Canadian dollar crashes.
Right. Hey, this is a legitimate concern.
Yeah. And all of a sudden my RSPs, my GSCs are worth half of what they were before. Who's going to be there for me?
Well, I mean, I think there's risk, right? So
That's a lot of risk. And where's the reward?
right. And
Maybe for the generation 3 years from now or 3 generations from now, but what about
Right.
my generation?
right.
Yeah, nobody can answer that.
Well, okay, and obviously I'm not an expert on this either, right? I would say my instinct is to talk about the alternatives of staying, right? So if we stay, then what, inflation and government spending and, you know,
Well,
interest
I think there's
and,
inflation no matter where you're at.
Right.
The US faced inflation, Europe faced inflation.
okay,
Inflation was a problem of COVID. It was a problem of the Ukraine-Russia war with all the
Okay.
commodities or you know, with all the supply chain disruption with the,
Right.
the minerals.
right.
It's not just an Alberta problem or a Canadian problem. People blame Trudeau for inflation. Inflation was everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like this, honestly, I want
Not
my,
to be isolated from inflation. Inflation.
yeah, I want to ask these hard questions because honestly, I
think
don't
it's
know.
going to make a world of hurt if we separate. People think of this panache, this oasis of beauty, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a tough sled, man.
Well, okay, so let's go down that path just to be realistic.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, where you're saying the Canadian dollar crashes, your investments crash.
My house is worth shit because nobody moved to Alberta. Companies flee because there's instability.
Instability, okay,
Then what?
okay,
Healthcare is now privatized.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It could be a lot of problems.
yeah.
I don't think people thought it through. I think they think it's going to be great.
Can we think it through then? Because like, help me. Because honestly, I'm a private citizen just making videos about
Yeah.
this, and I was like, yeah, I support it, and so now you're putting some good questions in my mind.
It. Like I think, but nobody's thought this out. Like everybody's like, we're going to be our own country. This and that. But my gosh, like,
Right.
think of what we're giving up.
Right.
What are we trading off for?
Right,
We don't have a military.
right,
We've invited the U.S. to finance us, and they'll be over us like a dog, like a fat kid on a Smartie.
yeah,
You know, we don't have it. Like they were threatening Greenland. Venezuela they got an army and they still moved in there. They would take us like that.
yeah. Well, I think they would take us anyway if they wanted, right? But okay, here's
That's my biggest concern is my future.
Okay.
Like, financially.
Okay, so here's my response. And again, I'm not like 100% sold on it being right. I want to just explore the issue. So the proposal is that taxes would like go way down, right? Because we wouldn't be paying equalization. We would cut all this, like, you know, no more wasteful spending overseas into like CBC, for example. And so we cut our spending, cut the amount we paid at Ottawa. And then here in Alberta, we'd be like low taxes.
So even if I paid 10% less tax right now,
Okay.
it still wouldn't offset the hundreds of thousands of dollars I would lose in my investments.
Right. Can you clarify like how confident you are that you'd lose investment? Like, Because I mean, couldn't it go the other way? Like, what would be the forces pushing it down? What would be the forces pushing it up?
Well, the problem is that right now all of our investments are in Canadian dollars.
Okay.
Okay, and a strong part of our dollar of our strength is the
Right.
oil,
Right.
because it is a petrodollar.
Right.
So once Canada is separate from Alberta, or Alberta separate from Canada, what is backing that dollar,
Right.
right? And the instability it causes, right?
Right.
Like you'd see it like,
Well, there's some talk, and I mean, there's no like unified leader to this movement, but there's some talk about like a gold, oil, resource kind of backed currency that we'd eventually develop, we'd transition to.
help my investments that are outside of Alberta, right? I've got GICs with TD Bank
Right.
and investments that are mutual funds in Canadian companies and American companies
Right.
that are in Canadian dollars.
Okay. Well, okay, so this is, you put some good questions in my head. I really appreciate this. I'm going to be thinking about it.
That is my biggest worry about all this stuff.
But now, you said you're not completely against it, so
I
why not?
recognize a lot of the turmoil that the East causes us, like 100%. Like, but at the same time, you know, like, it's hard to put it, like being our own country, would that solve all the problems? Would it allow us access to tidewater?
Well, I mean, we'd
Would it make it
presumably, we'd have more leverage, right? Because BC couldn't ship through Alberta if they didn't let us ship through them, right? Or we could go through the States, right?
I don't think that's enough leverage. Like, we're already
It's
like
some
that.
leverage.
Yeah, but
It's, I mean, and then honestly, our economies are north-south. Like we do trade interprovincially, but a lot of our economic activity goes to the States anyway. So,
I'm also worried too about our social safety nets. Like,
Okay,
For
okay.
healthcare, is the goal to have private healthcare under Alberta, or
Right.
is it stay public?
right. Well, I'll just be transparent because I've been to some of these meetings and it seems like there's a big push to go public, or sorry, go private. And so we need to argue about that.
Well, your lower taxes are offset by health insurance,
Yeah,
so 6 one, half to the other. Do you know that
fair enough.
the Americans only pay about 5% less tax than us?
5% less tax.
Yeah.
What, is that when you factor in like healthcare premiums and all that kind of stuff?
So they don't get like.
Alberta Independence?
Yep.
Hey, awesome.
100%.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
We're, if you see me again, I'd like to talk to you too if you're interested, but have a great day. Sorry.
So they have lower taxes, but they also pay for healthcare. They got to pay for healthcare, which
Right.
is probably about $200 or $300 a month per person.
Right.
Like up to $1,000 per family
Right,
for healthcare.
right.
So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to say this whole rainbows and butterflies future is not really realistic. There's going to be turmoil, and the first 5 years probably is going to be pretty harsh. I do agree, and especially if you're heavily invested in Canada. If you got real estate in other parts of Canada, you got
I'm not
investments,
invested in other parts of Canada. I'm just invested like every other Albertan.
the GACs and stuff.
Yeah, you just go to the bank and get your mutual funds and
Yeah,
do the right thing and invest in your RSPs.
right.
Now all this is unraveling.
So can we just talk about the risk of staying? Like, say we give up on this independence idea. What do you think the long-term future is for you personally, and maybe for?
Honestly, I think things are shifting with the way Trump is acting. I think, you know, like things are kind of coming back into they're recognizing the strength of Alberta and unification. Like the East has been kind of blah blah blah, but now I think it's more important than ever, and I think the tides are turning
Right. Like
Like
in a
every
good
single-
way, or?
in a good way. You know, people
Okay.
are saying like, you know, Carney's like at least talking about a pipeline again, and people
Right.
saying, well, he hasn't built one yet. Well, of course he hasn't built one yet.
Right.
He's been in power for a year,
Oh.
and no private companies have lined up to say this is a great idea. Where are they?
Right.
Where are they at?
So,
Because of the uncertainty or because of the economics?
oh, well, I mean, the media sources I listen to say that the problem is he's kind of given a veto to like First Nations in BC and to provinces, and he's kind of like, no, this is a federal issue. He needs to make the decision. We build a pipeline or not. It's the federal government's choice, and so bringing these other entities in is good to be transparent, but at the end of the day, it's his choice.
Honestly, if somebody could say my investments will be whole and my financial stability will be whole,
Right.
you know, whether we take our heritage fund and spend it on all the Albertans that are, you know,
Wouldn't that be nice?
we're
eh?
going to offset, you know, any
Yeah.
losses you take so I can carry on with my life and retire like I think I'm going to, or do I have to work for the next 20 years because my investments are down and my house is worth shit because now they're clamping down on immigration and
Right.
and you know, only Albertans, you know, it could cause a lot of problems.
So I'll be transparent again. I've published 3 videos to my YouTube channel about this so far, or four actually. It's called Talking to Albertans. I'm just a dude. I made up this channel. I was like, I don't know, see what happens, right? I got like 20,000 views on one I made on White Ave. And a lot of people are bringing up issues like this. And I read the comments and it's like 90% support. But I mean, who knows? YouTube, I don't know who they're sending it to. But a lot of Canadians, they say from like other provinces, like I'm from Ontario or I'm from BC, they comment, they say they want to come here. And then I'm like, well, come here. Well, come here right now and support us. But then after we get it, don't come because we're going to shut the borders.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it can be very difficult, like, to have, you know, what we now have inter-provincial migration. Anybody
Yeah.
from Toronto can move here, and Ontarians
Yeah.
are moving here left, right, and center
Yeah.
because it's a better place.
Yeah,
But once we build those walls,
right,
figuratively,
right.
you know, and I can recognize that maybe a lower housing prices would sure help my kids a lot, but
Well, and that's the big problem, right? Because, you know,
double-edged sword is everybody relies on their real estate for retirement income, right? Like,
so many Canadians have ridden that wave up, and it's like the worst thing would to see your house go down in value. Hey, so side note here, Trump is banning large companies from buying real estate. What do you think about that? Because we could do something like that in independent Alberta. That would that would be downward pressure on housing prices, wouldn't it?
yeah.
So then that, like, you'd probably keep your value, but then it wouldn't
Yeah.
grow.
I don't know how systemic it is here in Alberta. Like, if big companies buying houses up and like.
I don't know if it's a problem here either. It's just an
Yeah.
intriguing idea.
Like, I don't even know how it works in the States. Is it big
Yeah.
companies buying houses for rentals, or what are they doing with them?
Yeah.
But there's just a lot of questions, and I can't find the answers. I went
Right.
to the Alberta Prosperity page, and I actually asked the same questions I did today, and I never got responses.
Okay, well, hey, how's it going? I guarantee you this video is going to get some comments. So if you go watch it, maybe somebody will comment who's smarter than me. Like, why? Like, that seems like a big risk. Like, your investment is reasonably, like, the Canadian dollar will take a big hit, and
Like, really, I feel undecided because I don't have all the answers, and it's all,
okay,
it doesn't seem like it's.
yeah,
You know, there's also other people talking about just, you know, whose currency are we going to use and those things, but it
like
doesn't
we'd
really-
probably switch to the U.S. dollar. Like day one, nothing would change. We'd still use the Canadian dollar, and then, you know, we could start diversifying or looking at our own currency or
What
something.
about the legal battles for years to come? Like, I don't think it'd just be like, okay,
Yeah.
referendum, we win, or, you know, separation wins, and
Right.
then the next day we're on country. It'll be years of litigation and defining laws. And, you know,
Yeah.
there's also the First Nations are pushing back already, so.
Well, the First Nations are pushing back, but it seems to be like, are they really? Like, the chiefs are are they really representing? I don't know. I kind of doubt that. What do you think?
Well,
I don't know enough to say. Like,
I don't know. Like, it all comes down to, like, I think treaty land is like Canadian land. I don't know what that is. Honestly, I don't know. I don't want to comment on it because I'm not an expert in that.
hey, let's not comment on things we don't know, because that's what the foot goes down the throat.
Yeah.
Hey, do you live around here, like in this neighborhood roughly, or like how much is a house here roughly? Like those houses over there, what would the price be on them, you think? Those are multi-million? Yeah.
Million plus,
And so, like, I mean, this is a pretty desirable neighborhood, and if the economy went down, do you think the prices would crash here? Like, would it affect the real estate market, or would it be
We've
positive?
been through that before. Like, when I moved here, it was in a down market, right?
Yeah.
Like about 25% down from
Yeah.
what it is today. But these bigger homes, the problem is like, you know, I'm not an economist, but when there is a market crash, typically these more expensive homes stay on the market longer.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's always the younger, like the
Yeah.
lower priced houses, the lower priced houses are always kind of turning, but these big ones
Right.
will sit for a long time.
Well, hey, thank you so much.
I don't have a multi-million-dollar house though, trust me.
Hey,
I don't live in one of these homes.
would you give one more comment to the audience before we go? Because you're in the Undecided group, and I think a lot of people are there. What would you say to them?
Get your facts straight. You know, don't get caught up in the hype,
Okay,
one way or the other,
okay,
and research it.
okay,
Make sure you're well informed before you make any decision.
okay. Would you lean towards sign the petition for the referendum and then still decide whether you're going to change your vote left or right? Or would you just say, don't even sign the petition?
Well, I don't. That's a loaded question.
It is, because like signing the petition gives us some leverage, because it's like, say we get 30%. That's not enough to get or independence, but it's like, yeah, you know what? This might happen again if we don't start getting some improvements.
I really don't have an answer for that.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I really appreciate this honest conversation, and it gives me hope for the future here.
More discussion to come. Because,
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting much of an unbiased opinion on either or. It's either this one or this one lately. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I obviously support it 100%. So, but
Well, I appreciate just having a calm discussion about it.
yeah. Hey, you know, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much. Take care. So that was an interesting conversation. Kind of a lot to go through my mind there. You know, I'll admit, guys, he kind of stumped me a little bit about. I think it's something realistic we all just need to realize is the uncertainty in the short run would probably cause a lot of economic pain. Definitely for the rest of Canada, because well, I mean, look, they'd be losing their cash cow, right? So let me know what you think. Please leave some good comments. You know, that was a good conversation that I had with that guy. I guess for me, guys, I'm not a rich guy. You know, I've worked hard and I've got some stuff, but like retirement and my long-term future just seems so far off, and it just seems like there's not that much hope the way things are. I think the risk of staying in Canada for me, for my age, is like I still got 20, 30 more years that I want to be working and contributing. And man, the economy, like all the good jobs, like oil patch jobs are gone, or down 80%, right? So, hey there, I'm making a video about Alberta independence. Can I ask your opinion?
No.
All right, have a great day. So that is that's a real concern, but for me, it's not so much of a concern, because I feel like the risk of staying is pretty high, right? But I get it if you're at the end, you know, of your working years, and you're kind of looking at like, well, what's going to happen in the short run? 5 years of pain for someone who's in their 60s is different than 5 years of pain for someone in their 40s. Hey, puppy. Hey, what do you guys think of Alberta independence?
I don't know, I'm from New Zealand.
You're from New Zealand. Can I honestly ask your opinion then?
I wouldn't know what to tell you, mate, to be honest.
What if a part of New Zealand was like, you know what, we're done, we're leaving? How would you feel about that? Like, you got a couple islands there.
I mean, it's pretty easy when you're in an island. We're pretty independent.
Hey,
Thanks.
hey, welcome. Thank you so much. That would have been an interesting conversation. Like, here's the thing about it. You know, it's not that much of a stretch of the imagination to think a part of a country can leave. This happens all the time in history. All the time. Borders are constantly being redrawn, even in our lifetime. Borders have been redrawn all across Europe, all across the Middle East, all across Africa. Like, borders are not these permanent things that last forever. And, you know, politics ebbs and flows, and there will come a day when Canada doesn't exist anymore. Like, you know, is that going to happen in 10 years, or is that going to happen in 500 years? Canada is definitely not going to be around in 500 years. You know, I've kind of come to the conclusion that Canada is too big to be effectively governed. Okay? And what I mean by that is we've got so many different cultural and economic zones that are unique and kind of like semi-autonomous almost, that it just seems like the regional differences, eventually they're going to grow to a point where it can't be governed, and I think we're at that point now. You know, people push back and they say Alberta doesn't have a unique culture. But that's kind of just a rhetorical thing to say, because if you go to BC and then you go to Alberta and then you go to Saskatchewan and Manitoba and you just stop in each town, you kind of talk to people for a little while, you notice there is a significant cultural difference. And we're way different from people in Ontario, even though it's hard to articulate. But you can see it in our decisions and our choices about how we set things up. Ricky. Rickster. Hey, what's your opinion on Alberta independence? Can I ask your opinion?
Separate.
What's that?
Separate.
Separate? Why? Why do you say separate? Obviously, I'm for it.
I don't know. I feel like definitely getting the shitty end of the stick for sure.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm more try and repair the damage that's been done.
Try
and
and
if we can't repair it, then maybe we should find our own way.
Okay. Okay.
That's my thoughts on it.
I'm just a private citizen. I'm just asking people. So, like on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is like stay forever, and 10 is like let's leave right now. Where are you?
I'm at like 8.
You're like an 8.
Yeah.
And where are you?
Same.
You're like an 8. Okay. What puts you in that position? Like, is there something that's just like a grievance towards Canada or hope for the future?
I feel like Team Canada is kind of like a little bit of a bluff. It's not really real. Because I feel like if it was, you would take care of each other as
Right.
provinces, right?
Right.
So that's my take on that.
Team Canada's a bluff. Huh, that might be a viral moment, by the way. Hey, my channel is Talking to Albertans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the channel?
Yeah, I just made it up a week ago.
Nice.
I got
Nice.
3 videos, so.
Awesome. Well,
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, hey, check it out. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, take care, all the best. God bless you. This isn't that interesting, hey? Team Canada is a bluff. Yeah, I definitely feel like that, you know? Like, what does it mean to be Canadian? Let's ponder that question for a second. What does it mean to be Canadian? Some cliches come to mind, but that's not what it means. Hang on a second, I'll come back to that thought. Hey, can I ask your opinion on Alberta independence?
I think you can stuff it right up your ass. Quite honestly, I'm Canadian. I'm quite happy to be one.
Can you give me a bit more, of a more thorough answer on
One
that?
country, it's the best country in the world, and we're part of a greater whole.
Okay.
And without,
I'm just looking to have reasonable conversations, so I am genuinely interested in your opinion. Hey, what's your thought on Alberta independence?
You know, I haven't actually decided on that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're the person I really want to talk to.
Okay.
Hey, can I? Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously the person behind me is never going to change his mind.
No,
And some people are like never going to change their mind on the other side. So you're in the middle.
I am.
All right.
I follow unapologetically conservative, the Alberta dad guy.
Oh, proud or Alberta proud. I love that guy.
Yeah. So I follow him. I don't know that we'd be better independent or not. I'm not a fan of what's going on in the government though all the time. So
Okay.
yeah.
I just started this channel called Talking to Albertans.
Okay.
And so I'm not affiliated with anybody, but this is a concern for me. So the topic I'm trying to think about today is taxes.
Yep.
And the proposal is that our tax rate would go down. So first of all, do you believe that? And like,
See, I don't know enough about that sort of stuff
Okay.
to honestly answer that. And, you know, even if I thought it would go down,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah.
But we still have to pay for everything. So, you know,
nothing's free.
like,
I
it's
think
one of those
Albertans know
things,
that.
You know, I'd rather it go down and we have to pay for stuff ourselves
Yeah.
versus relying on the government for handouts,
Right.
right? From,
Right.
you know, if I had a bit more money,
Right.
you know, I don't use the food bank, but if you think of the people who do, if they had a bit less being taxed, they could maybe afford their own food and manage their own stuff. So,
Well, and that's ideal, right?
Right.
Because be self-dependent.
yeah,
Obviously, we want supports, right? We don't want to leave anybody behind. Seniors,
Yeah.
handicapped people, right?
of course.
Um,
But there's something to be said for being able to afford it yourself, and
Yeah.
being able to afford your own home versus renting, right?
Oh.
Right? Like, do you take more pride in it, in your home if you're renting it, or
Right.
if you own it?
Right.
Right? Things like that. That's where I come from on it.
So I worked in the oil field for like, I don't know, 12 years.
Yeah.
And I, could afford to buy a house and everything like that. And I met a geologist. I made a video like this on White Ave.
Yeah.
And he told me, he says, everything's great. Don't worry about it. Well, there's a dog fight happening.
They're just talking.
He's like, everything's great. Everything's good. We got nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
And then I told him that the rig count is, it used to be like 600, 550 per year.
Yeah.
Now it's 120.
Yeah.
Right? So like every rig has 150 service people working to make, like, that's a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm just watching my dog as they all come by because he's
Oh, yeah.
gonna break up the fights if he sees them.
Well, my dog walked off.
Vote, right? Down at the Big Four?
Yeah, tomorrow there's going to be, it's not a vote, but it's sign the petition.
Yeah, the petition is
Yeah.
tomorrow at the Big Four, yeah?
Yes, and I'm not affiliated with those guys, but I 100% support them.
All right, me too.
Yeah, hey, awesome. God bless you.
Whether we're more like Quebec in that things like we're our own place within.
Right.
I'm good. I'm originally from BC, so I walk around here going, I don't know why I moved. It's freezing cold, but I couldn't afford it there anymore, right?
Okay.
So come here.
So you're suffering in the cold because you couldn't afford to suffer in the warmth.
Warm, yes, pretty much. Pretty much. But my dog, thankfully, he loves the cold and hates the rain, so I say I moved here for him.
Yeah.
This dog will, he doesn't wear clothes either, right?
What is he, a
So
Cocker Spaniel or something?
he
or what
looks
is he?
like it. I'll do the gene test on him one day, but
One day?
he's shaved down. He's a mini Aussie Labradoodle, so
Oh.
multi-generation.
Wow.
He's just a mini doodle.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but he's all shaved down. But yeah, I don't really,
Right.
I've got family who are definitely liberals, and I just, carny stuff.
Hasn't changed much.
Really,
Right.
you're signing,
Right.
you want to sign stuff with China after you say China's bad. And now
Oh, yeah.
you're not signing with China because Trump says we're going to punish you if you do, right? So it's like everybody's pushing us to different directions. It's
Yeah.
like, we could just do our own thing.
We absolutely
Be
could.
good, right?
We could do our own thing.
If we, had our own development of materials, right? Like if we had the oil being able to get to the coast, right? And I'm from BC, so yeah, no one wants, an oil spill. But you look going, well, the United States are running tankers from Alaska. down.
25 miles off the
I know,
coast.
yeah.
The U.S. is running oil every day.
And BC really has no Coast Guard anymore because they took that all away.
Yeah.
Right? So, CFB Esquimalt, are they going to be the ones responding if something spills? Right? Like, BC back, it's Coast Guard, right? Let's
Yeah.
be better than we are.
Well, let's be better than we are. I'm not going to lie. I'm secretly hoping that once Alberta separates, then Saskatchewan joins and 90% of BC. I just don't want the lower mainland and the island. Although they're beautiful, I just don't want the...
We'll take the island. I got family there.
Okay.
The island is beautiful.
But-
Lower mainland, Vancouver, we can...
They could just go to Seattle.
Yeah,
Just...
pretty much.
I mean, I love you, Vancouver,
That's the thing.
but...
That's
yeah.
the thing is the island gets all of its gas and stuff
Yeah.
from the States.
Yeah.
Right? Why aren't they getting it from us?
Yeah. This is the big complaint.
it's
Like,
so confusing.
Albertans wanted to ship oil to Quebec and all across Canada. Like, hey, if you need oil,
Yeah.
use Canadian oil. And then they're like, no, we'll rather buy from Saudi Arabia and, other countries.
Yeah. Or like I said, it literally, the island gets its oil
Yeah.
and gas
From the U.S.
from the U.S. Right? Because I get it, it's below the 49th, and it just kind of
Yeah,
like when you're
kinda.
down there, you're more in line with like Mount Baker, right? You can see Baker better than you
Right.
can in the lower mainland, just because you're lower down. But it's just
Right.
like seriously, and I just laugh. I'm like, I like our gas prices here
Yeah.
compared to the island.
Oh, I like low taxes and I like our gas prices. And honestly, I'm really optimistic. Hey, one guy that I was talking to about 10 minutes before you, he said he was worried about all of his investments crashing and the Canadian dollar crashing when we get independence. Can you say something to that?
Well, I think we have. One of the Facebook things that I saw was which currency are we going to stick with? Are we going to stick with the Canadian, or are we going to go to the U.S. dollar? Right? Because as an independent country, we could decide in our own way.
Okay.
And I think it was like a mortgage question was on the Ask Calgary,
Yeah.
going, hey, how does my home value going
Yeah.
to change? And the lady wrote a whole really good article on it, going,
Right.
it all depends and it's all a guess.
Right.
So it's, nobody really knows the future. But
Yeah, and
You know,
there's
like,
risks either way. There's risk to staying.
yep,
What's the risk to staying in your mind?
nothing changes, right? We just keep going down this path that nobody really likes.
Yeah.
Or we could risk it, go independent, and maybe it'll get better. Can't get much worse though. We've been through some bad stuff. So.
Well, and I mean, you say maybe nothing changes, but like the path we're on is actually pretty doom and gloom. Like,
oh, it is. It is.
we're saddled with so much debt, and we can't pay our bills, and our economy is weakening and weakening, and weakening, and
that's the bad path, right? So that's downward. But yeah, I've got family that wants it. That they were asking me yesterday, and I'm sure they'll ask today. Which side I'm on, and I haven't. I haven't decided.
Okay. Well, can I try to force you to decide? You could sign the petition right away. Would you do it or would you not?
If somebody handed it to me, I'd sign it. Yeah.
Someone handed it to you right now, you'd sign it? Because I could probably make that happen.
We don't need to do that right
No,
now.
we don't need to do it right now. No.
But if it came to a vote,
Yeah.
I'm definitely leaning more to the let's try it out, and
Yeah.
maybe that's not like the slogan, for the change. Is let's see.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people who I'm a bit of a fence sitter, honestly.
Right.
But it's not good right now.
Okay.
Right? Everything's so expensive.
Okay.
People go on trips, and I'm like, oh, how nice it must be to be able to afford that.
Right.
Where that's not where I sit right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, thank you so much.
I could feed the dog. I'm living it happy.
Well, thank you so much. So God bless you, and check out my YouTube channel, Talking to Albertans.
You enjoy yourself and stay
Kind of
warm.
response you getting here?
Hey, good. Well, actually, really positive. I've gotten probably 50% undecided, 75% undecided, and then like maybe 2 guys said no, and then like 4 said yes. So I've talked to maybe 15 or. Look, math is hard. I can't count. I got to watch the video.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on it? Obviously, I support it.
Yeah, I'm definitely for it.
Okay, a concern, I'll just play the devil's advocate then, is that all the investments that all the Canadians have, the Canadian dollar is going to crash, and so many people are going to lose money. What do you say to that?
Seems to be heading that direction anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like jumping off the Titanic.
So it's like you jump off the Titanic, you're going to get wet as you get in the lifeboat.
Yeah. And we're born and raised Albertans.
Okay.
So it's just, we're tired of being the red-headed stepchild.
The red-headed stepchild.
Of Canada.
Yeah.
So it's kind of time to keep the money in Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah. Canada's a natural resources superpower.
Right.
Let's start using that.
Right.
Yeah. We should be the richest country on the planet.
Yeah, we absolutely should be. I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 12 years, and I used to look at the rig count all the time. It used to be 550 odd rigs in January, and now it's 120, 125 in January this year. That's like collapse.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to do business in Canada anymore.
No.
No, we like monopolies.
Yeah.
And I think Alberta can change that.
Right.
So if we kind of take control of our own province and...
Right. So, okay, then the topic I kind of wanted to talk about was, hey puppy, you just about took my camera, was like lower taxes. Do you believe that if we became independent, we could get our taxes like way lower and still have the same level of funding, like services and stuff like that?
I think so.
Yeah. Because like equalization, we wouldn't be paying that anymore, obviously, and more resource development.
It depends on who's running like the Alberta Health, who's in charge.
Okay.
I think if we have people that are cognizant of, not wasting money and stuff.
Okay. Well, and that's the big risk, right? Is if we jump out of this pot and then jump right into another pot, and it's just same kind of stupid government, just.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds, right? Let's just separate.
If we're going from corruption to corruption, then
so we really have to think like what we want to put in this new government. So actually, that's a fun question. What would you want to see in like a new constitution for Canada or for Alberta?
I don't know.
Like I'll give you my answer to that. no notwithstanding clause, right? Because currently our rights are actually just privileges. The government could take them away if they deem necessary. You know, it's called the notwithstanding clause. And so compared to the American system, their rights are guaranteed. It's written on a piece of paper. It can never be infringed. And like even during like World War II, there were like or like, you know, civil unrest. There were like trials when it was like, yeah, free speech even during a crisis is still guaranteed. And Canada, we just saw free speech just get sucked away as soon as there was the government deemed, you know.
Absolutely.
I'd be like 100%.
COVID rig.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's called Talking to Albertans.
Okay.
I got 4 videos on it now.
Yeah.
But you know, I made a video on White Ave, and
That would be interesting.
there was a lot of swearing at me, you know, and so I was kind of scared to come here, right? But you know, courage is contagious, and so I think I came to a friendlier place.
Yeah.
Right here in Calgary.
White Ave in Edmonton.
Yeah, in
Okay,
Edmonton.
yeah.
So yeah, very NDP there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of NDP presence and
Yeah.
Liberal and
Well, like they just started calling me a racist, and it's like you haven't even. I just held the Alberta flag.
They've
you
got
haven't
no
even talked to
response.
me yet.
Yeah. It's the go-to.
So are you going to the event on the 31st?
Oh no, I haven't heard of that one. What's that
So
one?
Mario the North.
Marty up north.
yeah.
Mario the
another guy.
Oh,
North.
Mario.
He's a big. He has a huge Canadian conservative following on YouTube.
Okay.
There's a bunch of
heard of
conservative YouTubers
Yeah.
that are hosting an event. I think it's at Ranchman's
Oh.
on Friday the 31st.
Okay.
So
Well,
here.
you know what's so exciting? No, I'm not from here. I don't want to say where I'm from.
Oh, that's okay.
Maybe I am from here.
Okay.
I don't want to say where I'm from because,
Anonymity for sure. In these days,
yeah. But no. What's really exciting is how many like private people are doing stuff like this. Little events, little meetings. Like everywhere I go, people are talking about this, and so this is really catching on. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Good for you getting out here. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's brave.
And talking to people. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well.
That's all you can do right now.
Yeah, and I want to give you a voice, right? Like if you oppose it, like that one guy stomped away. He said he was against it, and I was like, please tell me why. And they can't.
TV tells them. Yeah.
Give me a reason why. Nobody who's like for staying can say, here's 5 reasons why we should stay. They just say, I'm a Canadian and you're a racist, and
Daniel Smith.
yeah.
And therefore,
Why does it always fall back to you're a racist?
I
It's
don't
just
know.
so easy.
yeah.
Look, don't let that ever hurt your feelings. Like
doesn't.
unless you actually are a
It's
racist, then
yeah, it actually is comical at
Yeah.
this point.
yeah.
And I usually fill in and Nazi too.
Yeah, Nazi, homophobic,
Nazis, yeah.
misogynistic, sexist, yeah, you name it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It just
We've
shuts
been
down
called it all.
conversation right there, right?
Well, and that's actually the scary thing, right? Because what we're doing right now is how democracy works. It's like we can agree or disagree in public, face to face, and not be enemies.
Right. We used to be like that.
Yeah, we used to be like that.
Yeah.
And, this gives me hope because we're still like that here in this little park.
Yeah.
So
Well, welcome to
Media.
Calgary. I
It's
don't
the
know
media.
if you're
They
from
whip
here,
everybody
but-
up into a friend.
we're gonna say that maybe I'm from Calgary.
Maybe,
that's
maybe
my
not.
house right over there. Just no. Hey, God bless you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, take care. Thank you so much. Hey, there's a good conversation, guys. Wow, so much to kind of think about. I wish I could decompress all of that. You know, when I go to edit these videos, then I think there's so many things I wish I would have said. But I'm here to talk to people, so there's more people coming up. Hey there, I'm making a video about Alberta independence. What's your thoughts on it? Hey, how's it going? What do you think about Alberta independence? Okay. So guys, look where I am. What a beautiful city. I was gonna say Calgary is a really beautiful city. Wow. See if I can get my screenshot for my thumbnail. I'm kind of glad that those people stopped to talk to me as well. it seems like the people who support it, they've got good reasons. They always have well thought out arguments and they're polite and courteous. And the people who are against it are just dismissive and angry. And they resort to swearing and insults. And so you got to choose what side you want to be on. Hey, what do you think about Alberta independence? Okay. You know, and I try not to shove the camera in people's faces. I know if you're watching this video, you're thinking, oh, just point the camera at people already. Look, I'm only going to point the camera when I judge that they're going to interact with me. So when people kind of look away or ignore me, then I respect that. If I went around pointing it in people's faces without, you know, them kind of wanting it, I just get bad interactions every time anyway. So. Hey, what's your opinion on Alberta independence?
That's the politics, right? That's all
Okay. Wow, lots of dogs here. This is, oh, look at how beautiful this dog park is. Lots of people. Hey, what's your opinion on Alberta independence? Any thoughts on Alberta independence? What do you guys think? You're for it?
No.
You're not for it?
No, that thing.
Okay. What's your opinion on Alberta independence? You're not for it? Why not?
Sir, we're better as we're Canadians.
Okay.
We're good as a country.
Okay.
A whole country,
Okay.
not part.
Okay.
That's
So just stay because we're a big country and it looks good on a map?
the big guys down there don't want to play nice in the sandbox. We can educate them to do so.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
my viewpoint.
Okay. Well, you know, I respect that, and I honestly, I'm trying to decide myself. I want my mind to be changed. So can you change my mind? Because I obviously support it, but can you change my mind?
I thought, at one point, I thought it might have been a good idea. It's so big and convoluted.
Right.
I think as a province,
Right.
we're good as a province, and we can all get along, and we can all work together,
Okay.
and that's our strength.
Right. So about 2 or 3 years ago, I was solidly in that camp. I was like, I wanted Canada to succeed so badly. And the thing that changed my mind was the trucker convoy. Can I ask your opinion on that one?
Oh, I didn't agree with that. They were just beacon off. But I think as a whole, like I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation,
Yeah.
we're good as a whole country.
Right.
And
Okay.
Alberta, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, all the way, the whole thing.
Yeah.
We're just better as a big group.
So,
And Trump sees this,
yeah. Sorry.
and then he's going to feed on that.
So no doubt. I mean, honestly, you're right about that. But I just want to push a little bit and do full respect. So like you say, we're better as a whole, but that's kind of just an assertion. It's not really an argument.
No, and I think it's as how we've been treated. There's no question of that.
Just get out of the way. Sorry.
I think if we got a different guy running the boat down there, so I think he's paying attention to how we all think here.
Okay.
Like I said, there's so much to it as if Alberta is separate.
Right.
There's just a lot of things that they're not going to get what they get now. This is from the federal government.
So I'll politely push back on that as well. Like, if we end equalization, then we would save a lot of money. And
Yeah, well, of course, I think that can be renegotiated. I mean, we're not making the billions like we were.
Right.
It's a different thing, but.
So the last time I checked it, which was this morning, we net provide $23 billion a year in equalization. So we pay $23 billion more than we get. It's like that one alone. Hey, God bless you, sir. That one alone would actually really change things.
Does it look gross?
I don't know if I should be scared of that guy, honestly. I'm out here having polite conversations.
It just comes down to And it's not where these guys are going to go in and cast their vote and say, now we're going to leave, we're going to be better off.
Right.
But there's so much to it, it's going
Right.
to take years before
Right.
they're actually a separate province. And people like Danielle Smith and
Right.
whatever, everybody's got their own opinion about it.
Right.
But
Yeah, she's not saying anything. I think she's kind of secretly in favor of it, but she's not saying
I think
anything.
she kind of sides with the way Trump thinks. But at the end of the day, we could talk
Right.
endlessly about it. But
Right.
my personal view on it is
Right.
we are stronger in a
Together?
country. Like, are you Canadian or are you an Albertan?
Yeah. Well, I don't identify culturally with anything in Ontario or Quebec, and British Columbia seems so foreign to me too. Like, when I go to Vancouver, culturally I'm different than them. It's hard to define it.
I think it's like I say, it's very complex.
Yes, I agree.
You know, in everybody's opinion.
I agree.
I think people just think it's a cast a vote, we leave, and we're going to be good on our own.
Yeah.
No, I think there's so much to it. It's just
Yeah.
going to take longer, and everybody's going to go, well, hey, didn't
Yeah.
we have a vote? How come we're not
Right.
separate? And
That's an excellent point, actually. How fast is it going to happen if it does?
it's going to be a slow. I heard this debate a couple years ago of how we could probably do it,
Yeah.
but there's so much that we're going to lose
Okay.
that there again, at the end of the day, it still benefits to be as a whole country.
Well, there's a lot of benefits if we could actually make this confederation work, and
You know, and the big thing is, like you just said, the Confederation, there's the whole indigenous population that are going, well, hey, the government's given us this land here,
right,
we're staying,
right,
and they're going to go, you guys just can't
right.
take it.
So I read Treaty 7 this morning. We should do a land acknowledgement. We're on Treaty 7. I read it this morning. It clearly says that they gave up all the land in like 5 different synonyms of the word give up and cede and all that. The indigenous people don't have any claim to this land according to the treaties.
Treaties,
They have like
gonna,
hunting rights and stuff. Is what the
they're
treaty
going to
says.
take all that, and they're going to fight with that. So,
Yeah.
which is going to add to the
But look, my opinion on it is like, okay, so these treaties, you know, we've had them for a long time, and look at the situation of the indigenous peoples. Like, they're suffering, and like, what makes you think that things will get better for them? Like, if the current situation continues?
It's going to be worse, I think, for them if we separate. But
If we separate.
End of the day,
Yeah.
we're better together than not.
Okay.
So that's my opinion.
You know, actually, God bless you. And I just want to say, like, so far of the people opposed to it, you've been the most reasonable person I've met, and I really appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome. And
Yeah.
good luck with that, and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll change your thinking.
Well, yeah. You know, I'm open to having my mind changed. That's my goal. So, hey, take care. Thanks so much. You know, it's good to be, like, kind and nice to people. And I was smiling and nodding a lot of stuff that he was saying there, and I don't agree with everything he said, even though I can smile and give him compliments. I just want to make that for the record. But basically his whole argument, even though he's really nice, his whole argument is, yeah, Canada is just together and we're better together, and we're together, so we're better together. And it's like, well, wait a minute. That's not an argument. That's an assertion. And so I would like to hear your comments on that. What do you think about that? So, kind of a lot to digest there. Oh, and then that guy who passed me and he just calls me a traitor. All right, I want to address that comment. So, you know, whenever you say that to somebody, what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to just shut down the conversation. Because you don't believe in democracy. You don't believe that people should be allowed to have a voice and say their opinion. You just think somebody disagrees with you, therefore their opinion isn't valid, so just call them a bunch of names and walk past them. And And when you call someone a traitor, that's actually got some strong implications of it. This isn't a war. We're not involved in some sort of army conflict here. Where do your loyalties lie, right? My loyalties lie with the people of Alberta and not with the people of Canada, because I feel like I was betrayed during the trucker convoy and when they seized all of our bank accounts, right, for protesting. So, you know, that's my response to that guy. And it scares me because of how aggressive those people are. Like I couldn't see behind me, but it sounded like he turned around and came back towards me. And then I was trying to look behind my shoulder. It's like, you know, I'm having a polite conversation, and like that guy's a big guy. You know, he's like probably 2-3 inches taller than I am. He's just gonna come up behind me and say something like that. Like that's the state of affairs right now. Okay, and I feel no loyalty to people who behave like that. None. So, you know, this whole nonsense has to stop of calling people traitors. At the end of this referendum, we're still gonna have to work together. And, you know, hopefully maybe listening to these conversations can kind of, you know, bridge the gap there. How's it going today? Do you support Alberta independence? No? Can I ask why?
It's idiotic.
Okay, do you have an argument?
Not for you.
Okay, well, I'd like to give you a voice. You can say whatever you want to the camera. So, I don't know how many more examples I need. People who are against it have no argument. They just say insults, and, you know, that guy was a little bit more polite. It's idiotic. When you say that, you're just trying to shut the conversation down. Hey, do you support Alberta independence?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. You might have to.
Maybe we might have to. Hey, God bless you. A lot of undecideds here. I can see when people are talking on the phone. Oh, there's the dog again. Hey, Papa. I'm sorry, am I scaring your dog with the flag? So far what I've observed here is it seems like the people who are opposed to it, they don't have an argument. They just walk by and they're aggressive. Like 2/3 of the time they're aggressive. They feel like they have a license to just insult people. You know, one of the things that I loved about being Canadian, because I don't even like to call myself Canadian anymore. One of the things I loved about it is like, we were like cliche polite, okay? And tell me that in these videos, I'm not being cliche polite. Like, being Albertan is actually more like what Canada used to be. And that's kind of the whole point of this. We want to go back to what it used to be, where we were a high trust society. I never locked my doors for my whole life. Until like 3 years ago, I started locking my doors. You know, we used to walk by and nod at people in public. It doesn't happen anymore. Hey, what's your opinion on Alberta independence?
Idiotic.
No way.
Idiotic.
Absolutely idiotic.
Okay, why?
Ill-founded and
Putting
misguided.
all of us at jeopardy.
Can you give me one argument though? Because that's just a statement.
The corruption of Trump, opening up to vulnerability to be taken over by the states,
Okay.
the relationship between people who are doing what you're doing
Okay.
and the Trump people in the states.
Okay.
It's unhealthy.
So that's an argument. Just you're worried about Trump. He's only got 3 years left. You know.
Greed
Like,
doesn't sit well with me.
Greed.
And to me, that's what I hear from your side.
greed.
Greed.
Okay. Well,
No.
I mean, I would love to talk to you, see if you'd like to hear my side.
No, I
Then
don't
maybe-
think so. I've
okay.
already heard it lots of times.
You've heard it lots. Do you watch the CBC every night? So, almost got an argument out of him there. There is such a thing as being afraid of being taken over, but Hi. There's such a thing as being scared about being taken over by the states. But look, if they wanted to take us over, they would take us over. Puppy. We wouldn't stand a chance as it is. And so, the people who say they're afraid of being taken over by the states, they're not really making an argument. Like, and furthermore, what do you really have against the states? Like, culturally and socially and economically, like, we're pretty much right, like, we're almost like them. There's a few small differences. You know, obviously to us they seem really big, but like compare us to China, right? And then so for our prime minister to go to China right after saying to the Americans, like, hey, we don't want, you know, our relationship is done, and then he goes to China, you couldn't count the human rights violations in a 1,000-page book with 12-point print. How many human rights violations China has. And sure, you could say that about the US, they probably got a lot of that too. But like, really, do we want to align ourselves with China? I got nothing against Chinese people. I love Chinese people. But the communist Chinese government, they oppress the Uyghurs, they oppress people in Hong Kong, they got AI, facial recognition, locking down their whole society. And like, okay, so you're against the Americans. Carney seems to be for the Chinese. Is that what you're advocating for? Are you just gonna go along with that because CBC tells you to? Hey, how's it going? Do you support Alberta independence?
Oh yeah.
Can I ask you a few questions?
I gotta keep going, man.
Hey, God bless you. Take care. And you know, I try not to get too like, I gotta work on this, guys. I gotta work on being more humble because there is a witty part of me that wants to just retort things back. But I don't know how productive that really is. Right? It's so tempting, you know? Like, even with that one guy who was having a good conversation, he didn't give me an argument. And so I was trying to like say, hey, I'm gonna be polite about this. But you didn't say an argument, you just made a bunch of statements. And so, how's it going today? Do you support Alberta independence?
I'm not from here.
Oh, where are you from?
Manitoba.
Do you support Manitoba independence?
I'm impartial.
Impartial?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, God bless you.
Yeah.
And welcome to Alberta. You know, part of what I'm trying to do with this channel is to embolden people. Okay, because courage is contagious. And if you see me, you know, how I'm deliberately trying to be polite and courteous, I hold my head up high, you know, I want everybody to have a voice because I really do believe in democracy. I really do believe in free speech. I'm open to having my mind changed. Like you saw that first conversation. I'm not gonna lie, guys. That argument that guy made about, you know, the economic problems that might happen, you know, with investments if we separate. That kind of changes my mind. So I'm trying to like lead by example here. How's it going today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you support Alberta independence?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Can I ask why?
Well, it depends on what you mean by independence.
So like a separate country from Canada.
I have to think that one through.
Okay.
If you could logistically make that feasible, the answer is yes, but I just don't see how that
Okay.
is feasible.
Well, so the Clarity Act, I was reading it this morning. After Quebec had their referendum in 1995, the Supreme Court ruled that it is actually possible for a province to leave. And then the Clarity Act is Parliament passed in 1999, which lays out the legal process for how it can happen. So it's legally possible, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
What we need is a referendum and a clear question, and we need a clear majority. And so like there's some doubt about what a clear majority is. Like, is 50% plus one a clear majority?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but technically,
It's interesting.
right?
We got to pound the drum harder for our province. I just don't. At the end of the day, there's. If people just appreciated each other for what they did for each other, fine.
Right.
It's a lack of appreciation that just kind of burns your backside.
Yeah, yeah.
So, philosophically, I would support a united country.
Okay.
It's just, and I think Danielle Smith's doing a reasonable job of just keeping their feet to the fire and saying, hey, you know what, like, wake up, this is not how this works.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's interesting.
Yeah, hey, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So, what I've also observed is that the people who are undecided are actually really polite as well. It's just the people who are who are decided one way or the other always seem to have negative things to say. So if I can model how we should behave in this movement, try to show some leadership, right? When it comes to the negative people, just say God bless you and move on. Give them a voice. Don't try to ever shut them down. Let them talk, okay? Because ideas either grow or die in the sunlight. And it's the good ideas that grow and it's the bad ideas that die. And the sunlight, metaphorically, is what I'm doing right now, right? I am shining a light on this issue. People who maybe are undecided watching this video right now, you see what it's actually like, right? I support it, and there's no pretenses, but immediately people resort to the negativity. So please leave a comment below about that too, what you think, how we should behave with this movement. How's it going today? Do you support Alberta independence?
We're Albertans.
Do you support Alberta independence?
Not independent.
Okay, have a good day. Do you guys support Alberta independence?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, okay, all right. So the question I really want to know is like, because democracy, is a fundamental thing in our country. It's a principle of Canada, and Canada has to respect democracy. So if a majority of Albertans do vote to separate, what are the ones who voted against it going to do? That honestly keeps me up at night, because I would hate for it to turn negative. How's it going today? Good. Do you support Alberta independence? No, can I ask you why? Okay. Okay, have a great day. God bless you. So, because it does seem really polarizing, and I feel like if we got 50% plus one, that would be technically enough, right? Because, laws pass in Parliament and prime ministers get, elected based off of 1%, right? But still, it feels like on a gut instinct, like morally as well, we need more than that. But that vocal majority, or that vocal group that says no, never, 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 would they just accept it and go along with it? Or would they start protesting and rioting? That honestly scares me, because you see what the left is capable of. Guys, this is the real deal. So it's why it's really important that we maintain the moral high ground on this issue. We have to comport ourselves with the highest ethical standards. We need to run this campaign for collecting signatures ethically 100%. Don't do anything greasy. And when you're in public, be nice and polite and courteous. You can think your nasty thoughts to yourself. Because I know we all do. We're all humans, guys. Nobody's expecting perfection. But see if I can get one more conversation here. Hey, what do you think of Alberta independence?
Me?
Yeah.
I think we're underrepresented in Ottawa,
Okay.
for sure. But I still like being a part of Canada.
Okay.
I would like us, to have more of a voice there for sure.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like we're staying no matter what, and 10 is like let's go right now, where are you?
I'm like a 2.
Like a 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to be a part of Canada still.
Okay. Oh, I'll get out of this way here. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have a reason why, or like what's your statement on that?
It's the history of Canada. I like what we've stood for over the years.
Okay. What does Canada stand for, or what has it stood for? What does it stand for?
Freedom, respect, ethical treatment of people.
Okay.
What else? We have just a way of being in this world that I appreciate and I want to be a part of.
Okay.
Respect, across the world.
Yeah. Can I ask you one question then about it? If we get a successful referendum on separation, say like 60% or something, what do you think the people who said no would do?
People who wanted to
the
separate?
People who wanted to stay. Say a 60% vote to leave and 40% vote to stay. What do you think would actually happen? Because like that keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they would just accept it and go along with it, or would they, Thank you. Oh, you gotta follow your wife. That's kind of a mouthful to really throw at you here at the dog park. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
So, sorry, the question again. If
so
60% wanted to leave, 40% wanted to stay, what would the 40% do?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think they might rise up, but that 40% is probably pretty passive group of people who would probably go along with it. Then we might see some people moving out of Alberta then.
Okay.
I could see people going to BC or back to Saskatchewan, back out east where they have probably come from.
So you think there'd be an exodus of people who were opposed to it, like
Perhaps.
leaving?
Yep.
Okay. Well, my experience here at the dog park today has been that people who are opposed to it are really vocal. Yep. They don't seem to have an argument, but they resort to like aggression and they swear at me a lot.
Okay.
So you're the first person who hasn't done that. Oh, second person.
I guess we would see, right? Like over the course of the last few years, we've seen people take a bigger stand on things.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
It hasn't really impacted Alberta. It hasn't really impacted Canadians.
Right.
I mean, on the global scale of what we're seeing, I don't think there's been that impact. But I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
Who would have thought? January 6th was a thing a few years ago, right?
Right.
That would have happened.
I love your dog, by the way. Well, hey, you know what? I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time. Yeah. Please have a great day, and God bless you. My YouTube channel is Talking to Albertans. Okay. So look it up. Hey, cheers. Yeah, thank you. Okay, guys, so that's where I'm going to end this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm actually going to go make another video right away. I'm going to go to like the downtown core in Calgary and do this all over again. So you'll get a twofer today. Cheers.